you'll all stand and render the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag, followed by the invocation. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you bow with me, please? Our dear gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you as humbly as we know how to ask your grace and goodness on us as we make the decisions that affect the citizens of this great city of Prattville, Alabama. Dear Lord, I thank you for the privilege of serving these people for the last 16 years and to serve on this august body, leading this community forward. Dear Lord, I ask that your blessings continue to be with the city and with the citizens. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Striplin?
Here.
Counselor Wood?
Here.
Counselor Brown? Here. Counselor Miller?
Here.
Counselor Reniger?
Here.
Counselor Bowles?
Here.
Counselor Fank?
Here.
Call the meeting to order. The character trait for this month is obedience, quickly and cheerfully carrying out the direction of those who are responsible for me. Fellow council members, you have received copies of the minutes from the public hearing and city council meeting from October the 2nd of 2012. Unless there are any amendments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Fank. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the approval for the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by raising your right hand, please. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Okay. We have a group of scouts here tonight. What troop are you with, gentlemen?
Troop 600.
Pardon me?
600.
Troop 600. And your sponsor is?
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Cops Florida.
Yes, we are delighted to have you with us tonight. I'm guessing that you're here working on a merit badge, perhaps? Outstanding, outstanding. You'll find that 2 or 3 of us that sit up on this dais are Eagle Scouts, so never lose sight of the goal. It's worth it. We have our state representative, Mr. Paul Beckman, in the back. Great to have you here with us, Paul. See if I see any other dignitaries. Of course, they're all dignitaries out there.
I think Jeffrey's here, Board Ed.
Do we have a school board member? There's Jeffrey. Welcome, Jeffrey. We don't usually have this many dignitaries at our council meetings, but we're delighted to have you with us. At this time, we'll open the floor up for any comments from the public pertaining to the agenda items this evening. Are there any comments that anyone would like to make or any questions about the items on the agenda tonight? Raise your hand. Be recognized if you have any questions or comments. Okay, I see none. Mayor, do you have a report for us tonight?
Start off with, though, I would like a point of privilege.
By all means.
Okay. Very large point of privilege.
Maybe I shouldn't have granted it. He's behind the dice.
That is for certain. This is the last council meeting for 3 of our current councilors, as we all know, and it's been a very big privilege for me, especially with Councilor Fank here. Him and I, when we initially were voted in, we were considered the bookends at one point in time, and And we were the two rookie counselors at that point in time, and we came up quite a ways together, learned a lot of the ropes together, even to not intentional, but in one way we saved money for the city by bunking together. And
separate room or separate beds.
Separate beds. Well,
Yes.
thank you for clarifying that.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
and we'll leave it right
leave it
there.
at
And
that. That's
it
right.
was not in Vegas either.
That's
I'll
right.
put that also.
That's exactly right.
But anyway, over the 8 years that I've been an elected official, one of the best things of that 8 years has been able to get to know more people, even though I've been a lifelong resident. And as I mentioned earlier, you and I came up quite a bit over the last 8 years together. A lot of good times, a lot of bad times. I think we've grown together, and there is some sorrow to see that you will not be up here over the next 4 years. But it's as we all know, whenever we throw our hat into the elected official ring, we're here for 4 years. And fortunately, you and I have been able to make 2 terms together.
Yep.
And with all that said, to move right along with the commendation here, it's whereas Councilor Nathan Fink served as a member of the City Council since 2000. He served as Council President Pro Tem since May 2011. And whereas Councilor Fink entirely devoted over 8 years to our community during a period of time that numerous projects were initiated through his leadership, which will continue to have a revitalizing and growth impact on our community far beyond the terms of his office. Whereas Councilor Fink served as the chair of the Leisure Services, Cemetery, and Judicial Committees, and is committee member on the Vehicle Maintenance, City Building, City Lots Committee, and the Public Safety, Public Relations Committee, and the Airport Authority. He has served as a liaison between the Heritage Center, Historic Prattville Redevelopment Authority, and the City of Prattville. It takes a lot of time to wear all those hats. Whereas Councilor Fink was unique in his sensitivity for doing what was best for the entire community, and he had courage in expressing his convictions and a special way of dealing with complex issues. Whereas through the performance of his duties and responsibilities as a member of the City Council, he's made excellent constructive contributions to municipal government in our city. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Mayor of the City of Prattville, do hereby express our sincere appreciation and thanks that of all our citizens, Nathan Fink, for his 8 years of distinguished service in the City of Prattville.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we need to wait for all the goods to come out.
Yep. As I mentioned there earlier, he served on so many different committees, and the fire department was also one of his long-term commitments there, and he also has a plaque from them in appreciation of his service to the Prattville Fire Department and the citizens of Prattville. Thank you on that one.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can call this the Mayor's Award
I
or
guess
what.
so.
This is a presentation also for his role as not only city councilor, but also as pro tem. And done an excellent job there. And actually, I think you have the gavel passed to you more than any other pro tem since I've been here. And
Can I take this gavel out and use it?
well, actually, I got to rotate it down to the
there
next.
you go.
All you got is the plaque.
All I get's the plaque.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
and y'all have to rotate the
Okay.
gavel back and forth. But thank you for all you've
Thank
done.
you. Are you really serious about doing that with the gavel?
Yeah, you know. But thank you.
And I guess I'm going to have some comments to make at the end, so I won't now, but I thank you, and I'll make my closing comments at the end. So thank you.
Good. Thank you. Okay.
Am I next?
I'm sorry, and you're who?
Am I next?
Oh, you're next. As I mentioned earlier, the friendship is more than I could really convey. Knowing Nathan as we came up through the ranks there, you'd been here for so many years, and for a long time there, I was having to go to you to learned some of the ropes, and you have been a mentor. I would not be in this role if it had not been for you, because you were the council president and I was the pro tem, and so without you teaching me the ropes, giving me that opportunity, I would not be here, and so I truly want to thank you. We have had many, many meals after these council meetings, and hopefully, even though you won't be on the council for the next quadrennium, I still hope that you will come out to break bread with us after the council meetings, because where there's been a lot of difficult decisions in these chambers, fortunately, I think we've been able to go out afterwards and break bread together, and that is, I think, one way that we've been able to stay friends and help move the city forward. And with that said, thank you as a friend. No crying in this arena. You want me to read this?
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing? Okay. Commendation, Dr. Tom Miller. Thank you for all your hard work, consideration. That's good enough? I'm going to go ahead and read it anyway. Whereas Councilor Dr. Thomas Miller served as a member of the City Council since 2000, he served as Council President Pro Tem, Council President during his tenure. Whereas Councilor Miller entirely devoted over 12 years to our community during a period of time that numerous projects were initiated through his leadership, which will continue to have a revitalizing and growing impact on our community far beyond the terms of his office. Whereas Councilor Miller served on the City Council and the Board of Directors for the Prao YMCA, the Talca County United Way, the Board of River Region United Way. As a member of the Talca County Leadership Class of 1998, he spearheaded the class project to bring welcome signs to the city's 6 gateways, thus demonstrating ways of paying civic rent, whereas Councilor Miller has always been willing to place his concerns for the public good ahead of his personal interests, and thus has earned the admiration and high regard of other civic leaders and the affection of a host of area residents, whereas Councilor Miller has demonstrated in many practical ways his deep and genuine love for our community and the surrounding area. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Mayor of the City of Prao, express our sincere appreciation and thanks that of our citizens, Dr. Thomas Miller, for his service, hard work, and determination during his 12 years service to the City of Prao. Thank you. He also served as chairperson, or is the chairperson for the fire department at this point in time. So we also have a plaque from the fire department for his dedication to it and the public safety of the City of Prao. One more. Not that I hit it very well. I'm going to just leave it in the plastic form. Presented to Dr. Tom Miller, thank you for your dedication and service for Pro Tem and Council President, City of Prao. Thank you. And that's all I have to say, Council President.
Your excuse.
Emma, thank you. There's one more. Whereas mentioned with the 2 prior ones, we were able to grow together over the last 8 years, and then 2 years, and then over the last several months, I've got to know you more.
Some of us have grown more than others.
Yes, same here. But, I think this is one thing that really shows of the community that we are. I've mentioned this before, is that you go over to Montgomery and they got some of the big buildings, but we have really been known as the preferred Fountain City, and I think that is because of the people that we are. We have had our agreements, we've had our disagreements, but I think we still have been able to come back as a unified body, and I think that is one thing that's going to keep Prattville moving straight in the direction that we are moving in now, and it's the friendships, again, that has really made me a better person over the last 8 years that I've been on the city council and now as the mayor. But over the last several months, and I've been to work really, really closely with you. I really appreciate you and your family, because I know you have really put your heart and soul into the running of this city. You have most certainly paid your civic rent back many, many times. I know you've also mentioned before that you're not a politician, and I actually don't think that anybody up here is a true politician, but I think you are one of the great statesmen of the Prao area, and you have really brought quite a bit to this community. So in that said, dear friend, I will miss you. But you will move on. You will have a better, have more time to work at your daytime job. I know that. The only one person I really do feel for is going to be your wife, because you'll be more time around the house. So it's, but with some of that said, standing ovation. Whereas Council President Mike Renniger served as a member of the City Council since 1996. Started to say 66. I knew he came over with George Washington, and
It's been a while, Bill. It's
been a while. Okay. And assumed the role of Council President in May 2011, whereas Council President Renniger entirely devoted over 16 years to our community during a period of time that numerous projects were initiated through his leadership, which will continue to have a revitalizing and growing impact on our community far beyond his terms of office. Whereas Council President Renniger served on the City Council and was key to the accomplishments of the David D. Whetstone Jr. Sports Complex, Overlook Memorial Park, RTJ Golf Trail at Capitol Hill, downtown restoration, street paving projects that resulted in most of the streets in District 5 having been repaired and repaid in the past 7 years, promoting new businesses through economic development while properly managing this growth with public safety and welfare in mind, was instrumental in establishing a Boys and Girls Club in our community, thus demonstrating ways of paying civic rent. Whereas Council President Renniger has always been willing to place his concerns for the public good ahead of his personal interests, and thus has earned the admiration and high regards of other civic leaders and the affection of a host of area residents. Whereas Council President Renniger has demonstrated in many practical ways his deep and genuine love for our community and the surrounding area. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Mayor of the City of Prao, do hereby express our sincere appreciation and thanks, as well as that of our citizens, to Michael Renniger for his service, hard work, and determination during his 16 years service to the City of Prao. With this, I certainly appreciate all of your service and hard work.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council President Renniger also served for the fire department, and there was also a plaque here for him to hang on his walls with that also.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Last but not least, I guess you call it the Mayor's Award again, since you have been wielding the gavel there quite regular over the last several months. Just wanted to give you something to hang on your wall. It's presented to Mike Renniger. Thank you for your dedication and services as Pro Tem and Council President, District 5, City of Prao, Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you.
See if you need to look at her.
Oh. Well, I will if you say so. We know who the boss is around here.
Thank you.
Mayor, let me just say that you're more than a friend. You're a Christian brother. I love you, man. And I know that the city is in great hands for the next 4 years.
Well, thank you. Got to give me a hug on that one. Thank you. Well, that was a good part of the mayoral report. I'm actually going to cut this one short. Oh, you heard that before? That was, as I said, that was a good part of the report. As we all know, at the last council meeting, there was a extension of the 1 penny sales tax, and I've already emailed and made everybody informed of the intentions, and our city clerk will be bringing to the council's attention the proper protocol on that. But with everything that we had going on, I just really wanted to stand up here and say that everybody I have served up here with, whether it's been a matter of months or a matter of years, I do appreciate each and everything that you guys have done. There's been a lot of tough decisions that have been able to make, that we've had to make, and it's where we don't always agree, but we have actually, I think, come to understand each other. And I truly hope that you guys have understood my decision and my stance on this, and I do understand yours in whichever action that happens to take place, because I know in all of our hearts we're up here to do what we each and every one of
Does anyone have any questions or comments for the mayor from the council? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mosley, how about coming forward and give us a report on the city's finances? And once again, we're only accepting good news today. Okay. Little technical problem here.
Nobody had any comments.
Get you. Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
It's good to have a technician in the crowd.
All right. Everybody has the financial packet that I put on in front of everyone. The first page, as usual, is the revenue report for September. Now, obviously, these are not final audited numbers. We do have some accruals that are going to have to happen, revenue and payroll and other accruals that have to go through on both sides, revenue and expense. But these are just preliminary numbers to give you a general idea of where we ended up at the end of September. You will see that a couple of the lines are still lagging behind. As mentioned before, lodging tax is still lagging behind. The Holiday Inn Express has opened, so that should start picking up and taking up some of that slack. Rental tax is lagging slightly, as well as tobacco tax. But you will notice that for the most part, we're 91% through the year, because there are some accruals that will come back onto this, and we are 97. We have received 97.65% of the budgeted revenues, so that's very, very promising. You will also notice that on year to date, we've received 13.96% more in revenue this year than last year, so that's also very positive. The next sheet you have is the tax breakdown comparison that I provide at the beginning of every month for that month's revenue that's come in, to kind of break down line by line on those taxes. The next set of sheets you have is the expense report for September. As I said before, there are several accruals that have to still go into this, one of which is the payroll accrual, because the first payroll that we pay out in 2012, 2013 was for work that was done in the 2011-2012 fiscal year, so that has to get pulled back. Most every single department is right on track with their budget. There are a couple that are outside, but most of them are pretty much right in line. You will see that we spent about 94% of our budget for the year so far, and like I said, there are some accruals that have to come into that, but we still should come in well under budget, which is always a good thing. The next set of sheets are the income statements for the Wastewater Enterprise Fund and the Sanitation Enterprise Fund. You will see that year-to-date, those are still running in the black. The Wastewater Enterprise Fund has built a pretty healthy reserve, so we can start doing some of the capital projects that are much needed in that department. And we should be able to start trying to purchase some equipment in the sanitation department, which is in the budget for the 2012-2013 fiscal year. Couple of things, since we are getting pretty close to the 1st of November, we do have that large debt service payment that is coming up. Currently, we have $2,567,000 in our debt seeking fund. The addition of the $500,000 for the month of for the month of October will put us right on track to pay the debt without taking another bridge loan, which is always positive. So that's it. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Mosley? Any comments? Councilor Bowles?
Yes, sir. When you get the final report with the salaries, accrued salaries, could you email those to us, please?
Yes. Yeah. I've pretty much got the salary accrual done. I've just got to process
Yes,
the journal entry, and I'll do an updated version of this and get this out.
Yeah, if you don't mind for my records, I'd like to email it that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Councilor Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Moses, thank you for your report. You mentioned that we would be on target in making that particular payment.
Yes, sir.
Would there be any excess once you make that payment?
No.
So we're running neck and neck with this additional sales tax
That's
to
correct.
make these payments that we have before us.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions or comments of Mr. Mosley? Thank you, Mr. Mosley. Very good report. Very promising. We'll go into committee reports. Councilor Strickland, do you have a report?
No, sir.
Councilor Wood?
No.
Councilor Brown?
No, sir.
Councilor Miller?
If it's not a report, but I would like to get permission to go ahead and make some comments now.
Okay.
Sort of some departure comments. Is that okay?
Yes, by all means, go ahead.
I, Mayor, appreciate the recognition with this set of plaques and the certificate, and that these are treasures that I'll use to remind me of some really good times. And overall, this 12 years has been a very humbling experience. To think that you've got the privilege to sit up here based on being placed here by the citizens in your respective district, or for you citywide, is really, when you think about it, an awesome and a very humbling privilege. And I start by thanking the citizens of District 4 for having the faith and confidence in me starting about 12 years ago. And I guess maybe I can sort of say that for the second run, because I was unopposed, but for the last run again, I was voted in by my constituents in District 4, and to them, first and foremost, I want to say a big thank you. I also think that when I step back, each of us, it's kind of like retirement. You sort of look at things, and for me, it just became the right time for me to make my departure from this dais. I have appreciated the support of my fellow we used to be able to say councilman, so if I say that, please give me some slack on that. But I really do appreciate the support through the years from my fellow councilors, and but at the end of the day, it's time for me to go. I'm really going to be focusing my energy in some different areas, but that doesn't mean that I'm leaving the city behind by any means. I love this city. I think this is one of the most awesome places on the planet. And, you take a lot of that for granted when you're right here in the middle of it. But if you can step back and see the character and the family values and all the people assets, aside from the natural beauty and the creek and the other things that we have downtown, the list just goes on and on. It really is an awesome place. And I've got to also say that, echoing what I heard earlier, it's been such an opportunity to make a lot of new acquaintances and new friendships, both within the city workforce, the fellow elected officials, and also, again, with the citizens in the district and the city at large. And you really can't put a price on that, and I have valued that and come to appreciate it more and more as time has passed. The city staff is absolutely incredible, and I have been here, I guess, with some of them that predated me and some have come after me, but I've seen a lot of time, energy, and dedication through thick and thin in terms of service to the citizens of this great city. And I want to applaud each and every one of them. But my last memory, while I'm still seated on council in terms of city employees, probably will be this morning when I was leaving for work in Montgomery, and my daily drive to Montgomery, and the sanitation truck came around. And Edward, you had the driver and the two guys on the back, and they were waving and tooted their horn, and just, as upbeat as they can be, despite the toil and tasks that they have to do on a day-to-day basis, no matter what the weather is. And, that's just symbolic to me of what the city workforce has been all about. I also want to make a comment or two. We all have our different views on the sales tax and the bond issues and the economic incentives and those sorts of things. And, you're for it or against it, or you may have been for this one but not that one. But at the end of the day, again, when you step back, I think it is absolutely incredible that this city can weather that debt obligation with a penny sales tax. There are a lot of communities across this nation that would give anything to be in our place. And again, I think that reflects the stability and the assets that this city has. You absolutely cannot put a price on that. I want to close by also saying that I think that, for me at least, knowing that the three folks that are coming on the council, the existing council folks, I think that the city is in good hands for the next quadrennium. And Lauralee, I don't know you that well. Clyde, I know you fairly well. Jerry, I know you. I think that we're in for a really good 4 years and beyond that. And so I want to say, while I've still got the mic, you're going to have a really, really, I think, fulfilling experience up here, but really view it as one of service. And I think each of you do. And I would just challenge you to continue to do that. And I would challenge you and the remaining members up here and the mayor to keep thinking about focusing on the issues and not the people. Talk about issues. Don't get mad at somebody just because they come at something from a little bit different perspective. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Try to put yourself in the citizens' shoes. Anybody that sort of brings a little bit different perspective to the table, but try not to personalize it, because I think as humans we're so ready and quick to do that probably is not the best way to move forward and reach compromise on the various issues that you're going to face. I am joined by two other councilmen who will be vacating this dais, and I want to say to each of those that I really have admired each of you through these past several years, and seen your service, and you've helped me to grow in this position. And I want to thank both of you, Nathan and Mike, for that. I can't put a price on that either, so appreciate the opportunity to go ahead and make these remarks now.
Councilor Bowles?
No, sir.
Councilor Fink?
No, sir.
I want to thank each of you for your prayers and your expressions of kindness during my wife's recent illness. I will tell you that she's much better today than she was 2 weeks ago. And by the doctor's report today, it doesn't look like there's going to be any permanent damage. For those of you that don't know, she suffered multiple strokes about 2 weeks ago. But and I encourage you, if you don't know the signs of stroke, learn them, because I went through a little orientation, I guess you might say, and as soon as I realized what was going on, we went straight to the emergency room, and it made all the difference. So thank you so much for your prayers and your kindness during our exciting time this last 2 weeks. That being said, we have a consent agenda that has 4 items, and I will call on Council President Pro Tem Fank to introduce the consent agenda and move it for adoption. Councilor Fank.
David, do I need to read each title of the resolution or just move it as a consent agenda as it's presented? I couldn't remember. Sorry.
I will read each one.
Okay. Mr. President, I'm presenting a consent agenda here. Resolution number 1 is to declare various weeded lots to be a public nuisance and ordering their abatement per Title 11, Chapter 67 of the Code of Alabama, 1975, as amended. Resolution number 2 is to appoint Kate M. Cheeves to the Historic Preservation Commission. Resolution 3 is to appoint Denise B. Brown to the Airport Authority. And resolution number 4 is to scrap various city vehicles from the Motor Vehicles Department. Mr. President, I so move.
Our President Pro Tem has moved the consent agenda for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Striplin. Is there any comments, questions about the motion to approve the consent agenda? No. Seeing no comments or questions, all those in favor of adopting the consent agenda signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. First item on our regular agenda is to honor a great man in our community. And I am going to call on Councilor Striplin, a longtime member of the Board of Directors of the YMCA, to present this resolution. Councilor Striplin.
Yes, sir. Whereas,
Before you start, Willis, will you and Gail please come forward to the podium? Thought we would get you up here a lot quicker. Sorry, I had some surprises tonight. Go ahead, Albert.
whereas Willis Bradford was hired as the first director of the newly incorporated Prattville YMCA, and whereas in his first 5 years, Mr. Bradford achieved the highest YMCA community participation rate of 25%, and that is 3,000 participants out of a population of 12,000, and helped raise over $325,000 to build the first permanent facility now known as the Don M. Smith Branch YMCA. And whereas Mr. Bradford expanded his leadership role in the community as he served on numerous boards, supported local civic organizations, held key leadership positions at the First United Methodist Church, and provided the leadership to organize the United Way of Autauga County. And whereas under Mr. Bradford's leadership, the YMCA continued to develop new programs that have had a positive Christian impact on the city. And as the YMCA membership grew, the Prattville YMCA became known nationally as the biggest small-town YMCA in America. And whereas, with the strong community support and volunteer leadership, Willis Bradford's fundraising efforts have greatly expanded the YMCA facilities. And whereas Mr. Bradford has earned numerous awards for his leadership and commitment to the YMCA, to his church, and to the Prattville community. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville does hereby commend Mr. Willis Bradford for his continued dedication to the children and youth of Prattville. Be it further resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville, on behalf of the City of Prattville, does hereby express its sincere appreciation to Mr. Willis Bradford for his leadership and commitment to the Prattville community. So moved, Mr. President.
Councilor Striplin has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Miller, who is also a Y board member. Any comments or questions about the this proposed resolution? Councilor Bowes.
I have one comment. As a child growing up in the city, we grew up on Lawrence Street, which is behind the Y. Rode our bicycles over there a lot. You kicked us out a couple of times, me and my brother. Called my mom and dad a couple of times. Well deserved. All 3 of my girls have participated in Y programs, and it's been a big part of my life from the time I was born here to riding bikes, teenagers, having kids, and having them in the programs. And and I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further comments before we take a vote? You don't get a vote, Mayor. But you can make a comment. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. It's also my family has come up through the YMCA. You and the YMCA organization has made a very big impact on the city of Prattville, but mostly important, the citizens. Of course, that is actually what truly makes up our community. And I've heard quite a few stories back when you first got here, and I think it was almost where you decided whether you're going to stay here or not. But we most certainly are glad that you did stay, because everybody knows your name, your face, and there's been very, very, very few times I've ever seen you when you do not have a smile or something on your face. So you have made great stride for the city of Prattville, and hopefully I'll still see you on the golf course on number 13, because you've always been there whenever the YMCA has their golf tournament there. So I do look forward to seeing you there in the near future. Thank you.
Willis, you've been a mentor of mine for over 3 decades. For that, I am truly appreciative. More than that, you've been a good friend to me, and God has truly blessed me through your friendship and also through Gail's. We've been trying for years to try to get Willis in the chancel choir. Gail has a beautiful soprano voice, and she sings beside my wife, and they make us guys look good, but we haven't been able to get Willis in the choir, and I don't understand why. Would you mind telling me that? Why you won't join? You can't sing? Well, you sure are good at everything else. That being said, all those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand.
I want to do roll call so our names will be on this.
Very good. Call for a division of the House. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Striplin. Counselor Wood.
Aye.
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 Counselor Miller.
Aye.
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 This resolution is adopted unanimously. Congratulations, sir. Would like to make a few comments, Mr. Bradford?
Well, I never met a microphone I didn't like,
You can sing, too.
but I won't be long, I promise you. Does it come out? Yes, it does. Because mayor and councilmen and women, Albert, thank you. Those were very kind words. The words following the whereas and the resolved were very, very kind. While Mike was talking there about I might have decided to not come. No, the mayor was. I might have decided not to come to Prattville. It's not really true. It was only just for a short period of time. I'm just from the mountains of North Georgia, and I came to Prattville to be interviewed. I drove up in front of Main Street, in front of an office, and on the office window was T.O. McDowell, attorney at law and midwife. Gail was expecting at that time, and I said, I'm not coming to this town. So I started to leave, and 2 of the people on the interviewing committee caught me and said, you're in the right place. And actually, T.O. McDowell was on the interviewing committee. I had to ask him the question, what in the world is that on your window? And he said, well, it's not a long story. He said, on the way to the hospital to deliver our second child, he said, we didn't make it to the hospital. And he said, I delivered David McDowell. And he said, birthing babies, there's nothing to it. I said, well, if you don't mind, we won't, when it's our time, we're not going to come to you. But I have enjoyed all 49 years that I've been in Prao. It made it sound like I did an awful lot, but let me tell you, there's three groups. There's a great board of directors, and a lot of them are here, that helped in getting it and keeping us in the right track. And there's the best staff, YMCA staff of any YMCA I know, and they're all sitting right back there. Some of them are having to work, I hope. And, in that staff, let me say this, there's over 200 years of YMCA experience, and all of it at the Prattville YMCA in that group. So they ought to know what they're doing, and they do a great job. They make me look really good, and I couldn't say anything, I couldn't say all that without saying, I'm pretty fond of the United Way too. United Way staff is here, and they do a outstanding job too. And remember, this is United Way season. But I do want to thank everybody for this. It's mighty nice, and I do appreciate it. Gail and I, we're going to, as some of you are, we're going to retire, and most people want to know, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I'm still going to be involved. I'll be involved in a lot of things. So thank you again, and appreciate the kind honor and the kind of recognition.
Willis, as soon as the resolution is entered into the books of the city as a permanent part of the history, and the signatures are affixed to it, we'll attach the seal, and I'll bring you a formal copy tomorrow, if I can find you. You haven't already retired, that is. And Gail, my wife, asked me to share this with you. Beside every great man is a better woman. Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize the disposal of the City of Prattville personal property. Councilor Wood, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Whereas the City of Prattville, Alabama owns certain personal property which is no longer needed for public or municipal purposes, and whereas Section 11-43-56 of the Alabama Code of 1975 authorized the municipal governing body to dispose of unneeded personal property. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that Police K9 Louis, a Labrador Retriever, is hereby removed from the City of Prattville personal property, as well as police service. Be it further resolved that removal of Louis from personal property will prove to be beneficial to the City of Prattville by eliminating the cost of food, inoculations, and possible additional veterinary costs due to his deteriorating health issues. Be it further resolved that Louis is hereby released to his handler, Lieutenant Wayne Barlow of the Prattville Police Department. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Wood has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Bowes. Yes, sir. Any comments or questions about this proposed resolution? Councilor Miller.
I'd just be interested if there are any plans to replace Louis. Chief? So at some point in the future, but not in the near future.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted. Next item is an ordinance to surplus one Astro van from the Leisure Services Department. Councilor Bowes, will you introduce this ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama as follows, that the vehicle listed below is hereby declared as surplus of Leisure Service Department and is to be removed from the inventory of said department. 1990 Astro van, VIN number 2GND15828LN171775. Be it further ordained that the City Council instructs the mayor to sell said vehicle as scrap metal and the proceeds to be deposited into the general fund. I so to move.
Councilor Bowes has moved this ordinance for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brown. By a point of order, this ordinance will lay over to the next regularly scheduled meeting unless there's a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Miller to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Fink. Is there any discussion about the motion to suspend the rules? All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing no opposition, the rules are suspended and the ordinance is properly before us. Any other questions or comments about this proposed ordinance? All those in favor of adopting this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the ordinance is adopted. Next item is also an ordinance to surplus one Raymer loader trailer and one 2001 Raymer loader trailer from the Sanitation Department. Councilor Miller, will you introduce this ordinance, please?
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama as follows, that the trailers listed below are hereby declared surplus of the Sanitation Department and are to be removed from the inventory of said department. 1995 Raymar loader trailer, serial number 800-525, 2001 Raymar loader trailer, serial number 0104. Be it further ordained by that the City Council instructs the mayor to scrap said trailers as scrap metal and the proceeds be deposited into the Sanitation Enterprise Fund. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Miller has moved this ordinance for adoption. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Fink. By point of order, this ordinance will lay over to our next regularly scheduled meeting unless there is a motion to suspend the rules. Motion by Councilor Bowes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? I see no opposition, so the rules are suspended and the ordinance is properly before us. Is there any further discussion about the proposed ordinance? All those in favor of adopting this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? I see none. The ordinance is adopted. Next item is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in an amount not to exceed $6,783 for a new air conditioning unit for the City of Prattville Wastewater Department. Councilor Brown, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas there is a need for a new air conditioning unit in the wastewater department at the Pine Creek plant, and whereas the cost of the unit is $6,783, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $6,783 for a new air conditioning unit are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Barrett Heating and Air Condition Company, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the fiscal year 2013 budget line item Wastewater Enterprise Fund capital outlay. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Brown has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Striplin. This does not require a suspension of the rules because it is a budgeted item. Is there any comments or questions about this proposed resolution, Councilor Bowes?
Yes, sir. Do we have cash in hand to pay for this? Yes.
Mr. Mosley says yes. Any other questions? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted. Next item is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in the amount not to exceed $14,531 for a Bobcat 3400 XL diesel for the City of Prattville Wastewater Department. Councilor Striplin, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas there's a need for one Bobcat 3400 XL diesel 4x4 crew cab UTV in the wastewater department. And whereas the cost of said UTV is $14,531, and now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $14,531 for one Bobcat 3400 XL diesel 4x4 crew cab UTV are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Capital Tractor Incorporated, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the fiscal year 2013 budget line item Wastewater Enterprise Fund capital outlay. So moved, Mr. President.
Councilor Strippin has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Bowes.
Do we have cash in hand to pay for this one? Thank you.
Okay. Any other? Councilor Fink.
Did we attempt to get this? It says Capital Tractor. I'm assuming that's in Montgomery. Did we attempt to get this or find if we had anybody in Prattville that could provide this to us?
Yes, sir, we did. They did their due diligence on that, and they were going with a diesel on this one because they have diesel fuel more readily available than the gasoline, and but they did check all local suppliers here. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition? Seeing none, resolution is adopted. Next item is a resolution to authorize the release of funds in an amount not to exceed $12,560 for one Z-Master 725 horsepower 72-inch Toro lawnmower for the City of Prattville Wastewater Department. Councilor Miller, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Me.
You're the only Councilor Miller up here.
Sorry. Whereas there is a need for one Z-Master 7,025 horsepower 72-inch Toro lawnmower in the wastewater department at the Tauga Creek plant, and whereas the cost of the mower is $12,560, and now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $12,560 for one Z-Master 7,025 horsepower 72-inch Toro lawnmower are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Prattville Outdoors, LLC, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the fiscal year 2013 budget line item Wastewater Enterprise Fund / capital outlay. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Miller has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Bowes. Is there any questions or comments pertaining to this resolution? Councilor Bowes.
Do we have cash in hand to pay for this one? Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, resolution is adopted. Next item is a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of agreement between the Tauga County Commission and the City of Prattville in connection with the 2011 Alabama Department of Environmental Management Recycling Grant. Councilor Brown, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Prattville operates its own recycling facility for use by city residents and businesses, and whereas the City of Prattville favors recycling at schools and in the community to protect the environment, conserve resources, and foster good stewardship among students, employees, and the public, and whereas the Alabama Department of Environmental Management awards a recycling grant to the Autauga County Commission to facilitate recycling at all schools and other facilities within the county, and whereas the memorandum of agreement clarifies the tasks, responsibilities, and expectations for both the City of Prattville and the Autauga County Commission to facilitate the placement of 3 8-yard recycling dumpsters for public use under this recycling grant, and whereas this recycling grant is at no cost to the City of Prattville. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville does hereby authorize and empower the Mayor of the City of Prattville to sign the memorandum of agreement in connection with a 2011 ADM recycling grant. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Brown has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Fink. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? I see none. The resolution is adopted. Next item is a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign a certificate of mayor of the city of Prattville, Alabama for Prattville Christian Academy, Inc., as required by Section 147 of the Internal Revenue Code. Councilor Wood, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Whereas Prattville Christian Academy Incorporated, an Alabama nonprofit corporation, is refinancing existing indebtedness to take advantage of a more favorable interest rate environment, and has requested that the Educational Building Authority of the City of Prattville, Alabama, serve as the conduit governmental issuer for its new refinancing project. And whereas the indebtedness being refinanced originally financed educational facilities located at 322 Old Farm Lane, North Prattville, Alabama, and whereas the City of Prattville is not liable in any way in connection with the indebtedness, whether direct, indirect, or contingent, and whereas Section 147 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended requires as a condition for indebtedness to qualify as a tax-exempt obligation that either the chief elected official or the governing body to approve the incurrence of indebtedness for the proposed project in order for said indebtedness to qualify as tax-exempt indebtedness, even though the City of Prattville, whole city, is not liable in any way in connection with said indebtedness. And whereas a public hearing will be held on the proposed project and incurrence of tax-exempt indebtedness for the project on October 22nd, 2012, and now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville does hereby authorize and empower the mayor of the City of Prattville to execute and deliver any and all certificates required by Section 147 to approve of the foregoing project and proposed refinancing, subject to the requirements of said public hearing being held in accordance with the requirements of Section 147 and approved by the city attorney of the form of said certificate. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Wood has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, resolution is adopted. Next item is a resolution to express the intent of the City Council.
Mr. Chairman, I request a
Yes.
5-minute recess, please, sir.
You want to do that before we address this last agenda item? Okay. We'll take a 5-minute recess. We will reconvene the council meeting. If everyone will take their seats, please. Last item on the regular agenda is a resolution to express the intent of the City Council to request state legislation enabling municipal authority of draft beer sales within the corporate city limits. Councilor Fink, you you sponsored this, so I'm going to ask you to introduce it.
Thank you. Whereas restaurants in neighboring communities have the ability to sell draft beer, and whereas members of the Prattville Restaurant Association believe that ability gives those restaurants an unfair competitive advantage, and whereas Prattville area restaurant owners and managers have requested that they be given the same ability, and whereas this ability can only be authorized by and through local legislation passed by the Alabama legislature, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville hereby requests that Representatives Paul Beckman and Senator Brian Taylor seek and pass legislation during the 2013 regular session that allows the City Council of the City of Prattville to authorize the sale of draft beer within the corporate city limits of the City of Prattville. Mr. President, I so move.
Councilor Fink has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a couple of seconds there. Councilor Brown and who else seconded? Councilor Strippin, both seconded. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Bowes.
I'd like to ask to hold it for 2 weeks. I've been on the phone with Mr. Beckman and talking with him, and I've been trying to get hold of Senator Taylor for the last 3 days and have not been successful. I'd really like to talk to Senator Taylor before we pass this, so I'd like to hold this for 2 weeks. Thank you.
Councilor Bowes has moved that we hold this resolution. Is there a second? Is there a second to hold? Motion dies for lack of a second. Is there any other discussion on this proposed resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? The vote is 6 in favor and 1 against, and the resolution is adopted. Call on our city clerk right now to read into the official record the mayor's intent.
On October 2nd, 2012, the City Council adopted Ordinance Book 2012, page 24, regarding the extension of the sales tax. On October 12th, 2012, Mayor Gillespie vetoed this ordinance. Each councilor has a copy of the vetoed ordinance, along with a copy of the mayor's written statement outlining his reasons for the veto.
Okay, you've heard our city clerk. You know now of the intent of the mayor. He has vetoed this ordinance that was passed. What is the intention of the council? Councilor Strickland.
I move that we reintroduce the ordinance with a motion to override the veto.
You've heard Councilor Strickland's motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Seconded by Councilor Wood. Is there any discussion on this proposed reintroduction and override? Councilor Fink.
Yes, I guess as it's been pointed out a time or two, I wasn't at the last meeting, unfortunately. I had a business commitment that kept me from being able to be here, so I appear to be, or it's been publicized that I appear to be the swing vote. I tell you, I have struggled with this one tremendously. This is not an easy vote. I've talked with the mayor today. I've talked with several of my council members. It has been out of all the votes in 8 years, and there's a number of them, this has been a real struggle. The tax is needed. You know, we keep discussing the tax, it seems like every year, and the city needs to move forward. Our city staff needs to be able to move forward. We need to put this issue behind us. As I did some numbers, and I trust, Albert Striplin's numbers probably a little bit better than mine, but yes, this is a 19-year extension. There are 456 meetings, I believe, is what you came up with. In the 19 years that this tax will be in place, at any time during those 456 meetings, this tax can be rescinded. It could be rescinded at the next meeting, for that matter. But I think the city needs to move forward, and I'm prepared to vote.
Any other comments? Councilor Bowles?
Everybody's focusing on the September 30th, 2031, but the key phrase in this ordinance is "or as such time as all existing long-term bond debt is paid in full." Gentlemen, so long I'm sitting up here, I'm trying to get this thing paid off. That's what I campaigned on. We're going to work for the next 4 years to get as much of this knocked out as possible. And with Lord willing, in 6 or 7, it will be gone. But we have to have an end date. So it's a good way to shine a light on how far this debt will take us if we don't work as hard as possible to get rid of it. Thank you.
Councilor Miller?
Yeah, I think I voted against this originally, and I will be voting against overriding the mayor's veto tonight. I had shared with each of you, I think, a notion that I was prepared to bring something from the floor that would have extended the tax through September 30th of 2017, which would be a 5-year duration. And I think the other thing was to limit it to debt and not have the language about building a reserve. And I heard back from almost all of you, everybody, I guess about everybody except one person, and I could tell in the conversations that this, for some was a lot more of a struggle than others, because it is a big deal, a really big deal. And not just because of the length of the tax and whatnot, but that whole other aspect of it, which is the council and the overriding the mayor's veto. So I truly, sincerely believe that this is too long a duration to put the tax on, and that Councilman Bowles, my approach is a little different, because I think it's better to do it in a shorter time frame and then be able to renew it, instead of having a longer one that you can come back and discontinue. Because at the end of the day, I think this has the potential to really take the pressure off of not only the elected officials, but everybody else that has a role in helping to move this city forward on the current track that we're on for financial stability. And I think that it really takes that pressure off, because it's so far in the distance. It's bringing in $4 to $5 million a year. And at the end of the day, I think something's going to be lost by not having that pressure. Having said that, I can understand a lot of the logic and rationale for wanting to do it for this duration. So I just appreciate the opportunity to make these comments.
Any other comments? Councilor Striplin?
One brief comment. I recognize there's concern about that wording called reserve, but very briefly, paying off a bond debt is not like paying off your automobile or your home mortgage. You don't just go to them and say, we're going to pay it off tomorrow, here's the money. I believe this council experienced that lesson firsthand at the end of the calendar year 2010 and the beginning of the calendar year 2011, when efforts were made to refinance the existing bond debt. You found out you could not pay it off and refinance. There is a method that is allowed for accumulating funds in a reserve account with the assistance of a broker to pay off existing outstanding bonds. The process is frequently referred to as called and pre-refunded. The vetoed ordinance includes the wording to accommodate this process. So that was my logic in being in there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other comments? When we take the vote, if you vote in the affirmative, you are voting to override the veto of the mayor. If you vote in the negative, you are voting to support the veto. All those in favor of the motion to override the veto signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition? The mayor's veto is overridden by a vote of 5-2, and the ordinance stands. This time we will open up the floor to the general public for any item of business that you would like to bring before the council at this time. Yes, sir. Lights in my eyes. I can't recognize who that is. Oh, Mr. DeVoe. Come on up here. Just had to get a little bit closer. Please give us your name and address and state your business, please, sir.
My name is John DeVoe. My address is 510 Vendale Road here in Prao. And Mr. Reniger and to the other council persons that will be leaving the council, I want to thank you for your service. And I want to address the council as it relates to the issue of the draft beer resolution. And it's my request that the council, any request made to the legislature, Representative Beckman and Senator Taylor, to change the law in the city of Prao and make the sale of draft beer legal. Also include legislation to make the sale of adult beverages on Sunday legal as well after 12 p.m. You'd be surprised how many people in Pratt will drive to Montgomery on Sunday to buy adult beverages, after 12 o'clock, to go to the gas station and the grocery store and to go out to Maxwell Gunn Air Force Base to buy adult beverages. And I'd like to request to the council that any decision to that legislation to be attached to any legislation pertaining to legalizing the sale of draft beer in Prao. I think it's just an unnecessary inconvenience for a lot of people in our city to have to drive back and forth to Montgomery to do that. And I also think that it will help to keep some tax dollars here in the city of Prao. And so I would like to see that. A lot of people are surprised that I would feel that way, being that I'm a retired minister with 23 years of armed service, but moderate and responsible drinking not against my religion. And so I would like to see, the good book tells us to have a little drink every now and then as a natural laxative to help flush the system out. And so I have no problem with it whatsoever, and I would like to see the city council consider the suggestion that I made. Lastly, as it relates to the city's debt, I met one of the senior citizens one day, and they told me that she was telling me, she said, when her husband was alive and they were married, she said he used to pay on the mortgage. Well, she said he just paid the bare minimum. Well, when her husband died, she said she started making a payment and a half, and that's how she paid off her mortgage. As long as her husband was making those payments and just paying the bare minimum, they could never get out of mortgage debt. But as soon as she started making a payment and a half, then she paid off her mortgage. And I hope the city council will consider that too, as it relates to the city's debt, making a payment and a half until you pay it off. And then after that, take the what's left over and put it in a reserve fund. Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.
Councilor Bowes?
Yes, sir. Don't you have a march or something coming up?
I do, yes. I serve as executive director of the Single Adult Support Center here in our city, which does support services for single adults 18 to 54 and older. We're patterned after the Gillespie Senior Center, and we're located off of Doster Road behind Pilgrimage Church. We provide that service to single adults 18 to 54 and older. And we've been sponsoring for the last 3 or 4 years our county-wide observance of World AIDS and HIV Awareness Day, which is internationally always observed on December the 1st. And we will be doing a walk for wellness at 12 noon on December the 1st before the Christmas parade, up northern from Pratt Park up Northernton Street, left on 3rd Street, right on Chestnut Street, and left on 4th Street, and go to Ward Chapel Church, and then turn around and come back to Pratt Park. That morning at 7:30 a.m., we will be having a breakfast at Ward Chapel Church, Prattville's oldest, predominantly historically American African church in the city. And the keynote speaker will be Dr. Pamela Payne Foster, who is a researcher and instructor at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And she will be there and updating us on AIDS and HIV awareness. In response to this Awareness Day, I do like to extend an invitation to the entire council to attend the breakfast and the walk, as well as to everyone here today as well. Thank you so much, for Councilman Bowles, for mentioning that.
I was going to tell you, I've already checked my calendar, and I'm unfortunately working that morning. But I would strongly suggest you talk to the 3 new members in the back and have them attend, because they're the new members. It would be a good thing for them to be there. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, and you'll have a blessed day. Thank you, Councilman.
Anyone else like to address the council on any item of business this evening? Okay. Go to reports. Mayor, do you have any closing comments?
No, sir. Just there again, want to thank the employees and the department heads for all the hard work they've given us since our last council meeting, and also all the hard work that this council does. And the 3 outgoing members, your services have been noted, and we will miss you also. Thank you.
Councilor Strippin?
Yes, sir. I too express appreciation to Nathan, Tom, and Mike, first for your friendship and then for your guidance in helping me try to get established here. I wish God's blessing on you and your family as you enter a new phase of your life, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.
Councilor Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for informational purposes, anyone interested in the College Heights community, we'll be having a planning cleanup meeting for the College Heights community on the 18th. That will be this Thursday at Pilgrim Baptist Church at 5 p.m. I urge all concerned citizens of College Heights and the surrounding area to please come out. Of another note, also, I would like to encourage each of you and ask that you support the Boys and Girls Club of Prattville. They're doing very fine work there. I noticed the senators back there. I ask for your support the representative along with the senator. But any of you, if you know of organizations, they're located at 869 Jensen Road, and it's the Boys and Girls Club of Prattville. They would truly appreciate it. Also, Mr. Chair, I want to take this opportunity to thank the employees, especially for the job that they always do and that they do every day. I also want to take this opportunity to thank each of you outgoing council members for your service, for your friendship, for your dedication, for your love, because you've shown all of that with me, and I appreciate it. Not only to me, but to your constituents and to this city. Pray God's blessings truly upon you, and we hope peace be with you all. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Councilor Brown?
I'd like to thank the 3 outgoing councilmen for their friendship and their help and the mentoring, and I hope you know you're still on my speed dial, so I'll be contacting you. So I'll still be asking your opinions and your advice going forward. Thank you all.
Councilor Miller?
No.
Councilor Bowles?
Yes, sir. I just want to say to Mr. Fang, Mr. Miller, Dr. Miller, and Mr. Renniger, I really do appreciate the last 4 years. It has been a roller coaster. I'm sure you'll never forget it, in good ways and bad ways. But I do appreciate y'all's friendship, y'all's mentoring, and just being willing to take the high road and get this city back on track. If it wasn't for you men, it wouldn't have happened. and I really do appreciate your time and your service, and my prayer for you guys that God will bless you in all your endeavors. Thank you.
Councilor Fink?
Yeah, if I can have a few minutes. It has been a wonderful 8 years. It truly has. I've had an opportunity to grow in ways that, candidly, I never thought I would. And certainly dealing with constituents the way you get to, I joke with people sometimes, and I can remember when I first got elected, and we had a bit of a contentious issue up in Hunting Ridge, and it was a new neighborhood that was coming in, Winchester Ridge. And I can remember I learned then something that I guess most people would already know, but if you live on a stubbed out street, it's stubbed out for a reason, and that's probably because there's going to be future development next to you, you know. And so you learn a lot of things that you never would have even thought of unless you did have to represent individuals. But I've had an absolute honor and privilege to be associated with the city. Employees. It has been an honor. I thank my parents for being here. You kind of responsible for putting me here. Thank you, and I appreciate that. I would like to, my children could not be here tonight, but I looked back through some old photos that I applaud the new counselors coming on will have an opportunity to have these keepsakes for themselves. And I realized how much my children have grown during the 8 years that I've been here. They have changed tremendously, and I'm extremely proud of the wonderful women they've become. Thank you.
"16 years is a long time. I've already expressed this to him personally, but I'm going to make this public. If I had to hand-pick a successor, I could not have picked a better gentleman than Clyde Chambliss Jr. to fill this seat for the next 4 years. Clyde, all the best to you in the next 4 years. I know that you'll move us forward, and you'll do it like a Christian gentleman that you are. I want to thank everyone for your support over the last 16 years, particularly Bill Sisk and Jack Schofield. You guys have been right there with me from the very beginning, lifting me up when things were tough, pushing me forward when things slowed down, and I want to thank you for your friendship. I want to thank Paul Beckman back there in the back for being such a wonderful competitor 4 years ago and allowing me to serve another 4 years where he could go to the State House and serve us in the state legislature. Good things always come. The silver lining in all of this is this will free me up to do so many things that my wife and I have put off for so long. We will be going to the Holy Land for a tour next year. And through God's blessings, we will also join a mission team to distribute polio vaccine in countries where they are still plagued with that through the Rotary Foundation. Those are two of the things that we'll be doing in the next 12 months or so. I treasure your friendship. I treasure the time we spent together. To all the employees of the city of Prattville, I'm every day proud of you because I call on a lot of cities and there's not one that can compare to the city of Prattville staff. I love the citizens, and in closing, what I'm going to say is I'm going to borrow a phrase from the great entertainer Bob Hope. He closed out all of his performances by simply saying, "Thanks for the memories and good night." This time, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by President Pro Tem Fink. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Miller. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We will close this meeting and the quadrennium. Good night, folks.